three pieces. From the moment the phrase, "the body is not an apology," and the idea of radical self-love fell from my lips, they have showed as a resounding yes to those who have heard them. That yes feeling is likely the reason you are reading this book right now. On some cellular level, we know our bodies are not something we should apologize for. After all, they are the only way we get to experience this ridiculous and radiant life. A part of us is a bit repelled by the overexposure of body shame. It is the reason we whisper and rumor about other folks' bodies behind their backs. We know our sneakers and don't are wrong when we are honest. When we are honest with ourselves, we feel gross about the way we filter other humans, picking apart their bodies, consuming them for the sake of our own fragile sense of self. We feel gross when we think about all the vicious, cruel comments we've heard leveled against people's bodies, comments spoken around us without a single protest from us. Our best self finds the evisceration of other human repugnant. We feel shame when we are shamed, and we allow ourselves, we feel shame for having shamed others, feeling the same suck. So, what do? Stop shaming people? No. We distance ourselves from the guilt by couching our body judgment in the convenient container of choice. We say things like, "Hey, it's okay to judge them. They chose to be gay. You know you could lose weight if you wanted to. It's not my fault you are a guy dressing like a girl." The argument that people choose to be this way or the other is its a core an argument about differences and our inability to understand and make peace with difference. The notion of choice is a convenient scapegoat for our bias and bigotry. Logic says if people are choosing to be different, they can just as simply choose to be the way I believe they should be. What we must ask ourselves instead is why do I need people to be the way I believe they should be? The argument about choice is projection. There are endless things in the world we do not understand, and yet we live in a culture where we are expected to know and understand everything. Humans are rarely given permission to not understand without someone calling us failure or stupid. No one wants to feel like a stupid failure, and our brains have all sorts of nifty tricks to avoid those feelings. A particularly strategic maneuver is to decide that if we don't understand something, it must be wrong. After all, wrong is simpler than not knowing. Wrong means it's not stupid or failing. See all that sneaky, slimy projection happening there? Projection shields us from personal responsibilities. It obscures our shame and confusion and places of onus for reconciling it on the body of someone else. You don't have to work to understand something when it's someone else's fault. We don't have to undo the shame-based beliefs we were brought up with. We don't have to question our parents, friends, church, synagogues, mosques, governments, media. We don't have to challenge or be challenged. When we decide that people's bodies are wrong because we don't understand them, We are trying to avoid the discomfort of divesting from an entire body shame system. How do we fight the impetus to make the bodies we do not understand wrong? There are three key tenets that will help pray us out of the mire of body judgment and shame. I call them the three pieces. They are 1. Make peace with not understanding. 2. Make peace with difference. 3. Make peace with your body. Peace with not understanding. We must make peace with not understanding. Understanding is not a prerequisite for honor, love, or respect. I know very little about the stars, but I honor their beauty. I know virtually nothing about black holes, but I respect their incomprehensible power. I do not understand the shelf life of Twinkies, but I love them and pray there be an endless supplies of event of an apocalypse. When we liberate ourselves from the expectation that we must have all things figured out, we enter a sanctuary of empathy. Being uncertain, lacking information, or simply not knowing something ought not be an indictment against our intelligence or values. Lot of exceptionally lots of exceptionally smart people can't work a copy machine. This is not about smarts, not nor am I proposing we issue information. Quite the contrary. This is an invitation to curiosity. Not knowing is an opportunity to exploration without judgment and demands. It leaves room to the possibility that we might conduct all manner of investigations, and after said research is completed, we may still not get it. Whatever it may be, understanding is ideal, but it's not an essential ingredient for making peace. Buddhist teaching tell us the alleviation of suffering is achieved through the act of acceptance. Here is a place where acceptance becomes a tool of expansion. Genuine acceptance invites reality without resistance. Wrong and right are statements of resistance and are useless when directed at people's body. Her thin body is just wrong. Sounds nonsensical, but because beneath our many layers of body shame, we know that bodies are neither wrong or right. They just are. Acceptance should not be confused with comprehension. Compliance of the proposal that we must be resigned to the ills and violence of the world. We should not, but we must be clear that people's bodies are not the cause of our social maladies. Napoleon was not a tyrant because he was short. Osama bin Laden was not a terrorist because Muslims are predisposed to violence. Our disconnection to trauma, lack of resources, lack of compassion, fear, greed, and ego are the source of our contribution to human suffering, not our bodies. We can accept humans and their bodies without understanding why they love, think, move, or look the way they do. Contrary to common opinion, freeing ourselves from the need to understand everything can bring about a tremendous amount of peace. In Apological Inquiry 5, what are you willing to stop struggling to understand for the sake of peace? Peace with difference. We must make peace with difference. This is a simple perspective when applied to nature, but How we struggle when transferring the concept into human forms. Late poet and activist Audre Lorde said, "It is not our differences that divide us. It's our inability to recognize, accept, and celebrate those differences." Think of all the times we have heard some well-meaning person attempting to assure in social harmony by declaring, "But aren't we all the same?" Here's the short answer to that. No, we're not all the same. No one, no one, no more. We are not the same. No more than every tree is the same, or every houseplant or dog. Humans are complicated and variant bunch, and those variations impact our lived experience. The idea that we are all the same is often a mask. It is what we tell ourselves when we haven't mastered the first piece, rather than owning that we don't understand someone's experience. We shrink it or stuff it into our tiny capsules of knowledge. We homogenize it by proclaiming we are all the same. Dr. Deb Burgard, a renowned eating disorder therapist and a pioneer in the health at every size HAES movement, co-created a brilliant animated video called The Danger of Pooled Science to explain body diversity and the perils of assessing health and wellness based on assumption about size. In it, Dr. called of assessing health and wellness based on assumption about size. It is Dr. Burgard details how absurd it would be if we assessed the health of all dogs by comparing them to the size and health of poodles. Better yet, what if the poodle decided that all other dogs should look, eat, and be the same size as poodles? The video pokes fun of our medical industry and its one size fits all orientation toward bodies, rather than acknowledge and basing research on the premise that diversity in weight and size are natural occurrence in humans. We treat larger bodies with poodle science and then pathologize